Welcome back to the Convo Couch. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
Why does he look like a knockoff brand of Steven Spielberg?
That's awesome. That's a good one. Hello, okay, guys, next one, and then it's a wrap. Get E.T. in his place. Where the hell is that freaking terrestrial?
Pasta loves to play what is it? Perform on call. It's everything Steve doesn't love to do. You love to do.
I don't do tricks, but
You
I
love
will
doing
smack you
tricks.
across the face with a giant mackerel if you try to say to me
Pasta loves
one more
tricks.
time that it was an insurrection. Okay? Thank you.
They're still saying that, by the
Free
way.
Julian Assange.
They're still saying that.
They haven't
Yeah,
stopped.
I haven't even actually. I don't even think I put that in the folder, but I probably could add it. But yeah. So what did we want to do today, fam? We just wanted to have a show today where we went over what's going on in the Twitter sphere, because we will be going out of town, so we're not going to be streaming on Friday. So we wanted to do an extra stream. We'll do our regular show tomorrow. But we wanted to have like an OnlyFams moment where you guys come in and ask us questions, but also where we talk about what's been going on. And there's been a lot going on as far as Twitter. There's been a lot of this whole like still we cannot talk to anybody that is considered a libertarian, a boogaloo boy, a right winger, all this crap on the left, right? And now they're dogpiling on Fred Hampton leftists, because everybody, a lot of these idiot synthetic leftists, you know, thank you Caleb Malpin for that, are doing that, right? They're dogpiling on them, and Jimmy Dore, of course, because that's the easy target. And it's just funny because nothing that was said on that show is remotely like insane. Like, it's not anything like overly radical or anything controversial. It really, it's something where we should all be at. We should all be talking about how to build coalitions with the working class. And it's true, during Occupy Wall Street, people didn't sit there and ask, like, what's your ideology before you can come and literally occupy Wall Street? Because everybody was getting screwed by the actions and the lack of actions in the government, of course, and their preference to saving banks and Wall Street and screwing the people out of everything, including their dreams, their homes, their lives. And so at that point, you don't care about what somebody's political ideology is. Now, people will say that's class reductionism. Not really, because it's not like I'm going to be okay with somebody saying, hey, you don't deserve to live because you're not white. Like, I'm not okay with that. But it's like, it's not like there was a Klan member that showed up at Occupy Wall Street and was there. Like, but if there, like let's say there was, I mean, Reverend Annie Chambers talked about how they shut down the Las Vegas street. She talked about that. We played it over and over again. There's still more clips that we should do, I think, where she's talking about this. I'm not saying we need to do that. I don't think that even matters at this point, because it's not going to happen. I mean, there's very, very few people that are actual white supremacists around. There's more like state agencies and psyops that create like the Proud Boys, whose leader was an FBI agent, and they're there to perpetuate this culture war. But really, like, our real enemies, guys, you have to realize, our real fucking enemies, as awful as some of these right wingers are, and they come after us too, and as awful as some of these libs are, you know, our real enemies are the state agencies, are the people pulling the strings, are the people in power. And until we realize that, we're just going to be fighting each other. We're not going to go after them. That's my issue here. I am so concerned, of course, for people of color. I'm not saying that doesn't matter. But what I am saying is that none of us are going to have anything at all if we don't go after the right people. And when you put arguments like Jimmy Dore is red, brown, fash, or Fred Hampton leftist is red, brown, fash, and Convo Couch is red, brown, fash, you really are missing a large point of the context that, first of all, it's not even historically accurate. Second of all, you're taking away an ability for us to actually coalesce and fight against the status quo.
I had to grab my glasses when you said the word class reductionist. I mean, that's great. That's a great word. And by the way, fam, we put up OnlyFams over here, and you get into some serious stuff right off the jump. I can't even read the stuff that's going on in the chat because you're talking some deep, serious stuff. But I just want to kind of, build on that. Just my last point about that, because we're going to have a great fun show today. And it is kind of weird, because I've always said this. I would never deny racism. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, who are we going to concentrate on? Our fellow citizens who are racist with no power? Or are we going to concentrate on the global elitist who really, their form of racism is bombing people, resource extraction, you know what I'm saying? saying? The three-letter agencies keeping us divided with each other. That's a real form of death, of a blender, of a death blender that's killing us. And that's who we have to concentrate on taking care of first. I think that's what Fred Hampton was all about, is recognizing who the real oppressors are, who's pulling the strings. He talked about it with Papa Doc. Like, don't get it twisted. It ain't just about black or white, you know. It's about who your oppressor is, who has the power. And we have to go after people of power.
People of power.
People
Exactly.
of power and take them down.
If you're wasting your time just focusing on some idiot Trumper that, and you know, the thing is, you can oppose them. You can call them out. You can say, hey, you're wrong for doing this. But all of your energy, and you should, but all of your energy should not be wasted on people who are ignorant and who literally just don't have this ability to understand this, because that will divide us further, and we're not going to get anything done. Again, I'm not saying you don't go after those people if you want, but I'm saying it is more productive to understand that we're being played against the other. And like the right does this too. They go after Antifa. They go after anybody that's on the left, call them a commie. Like all this other crap that happens too on the right. It happens a lot. But what I've been seeing is that these shit libs are attacking people like even Fred Hampton leftists. Like, I mean, their whole point of their show is to talk about how Fred Hampton, you know, the ideology and the policies and just what he was like all about. And I support that. And I think that's wonderful. And I think people going after them is just ridiculous. All these people, especially who have ties to the Democratic Party, who voted for Joe Biden, who are pro-imperialists in some form or another, whether they think that there's genocide here and there without doing the research and pushing for interventionism, or whether they just don't focus on imperialism at all. So
I think there's also an argument online. I saw Niko going at it once again too, as well, is who the YPO was with Fred Hampton. There's a lot of people who say they weren't racist, they weren't nationalist, they weren't what's the word? They weren't racist is pretty much what they're saying.
Right.
And then Niko would be arguing with them like, please, you know, I think it was a white woman he was getting into with, of course, and he was like saying, come on, man, this is the YPO in the 60s and stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
think they were like,
you know,
yeah, and like when
they might not be Klan members, but
they weren't.
they
were a working class group that was on the left, yes. But what Niko and I think what Teodo and what I was trying to say before was that given the context of the fact that they used the Confederate flag and they were part back in the day where they were living in racist communities, they were trying to break down a lot of those stigmas. Simultaneously, though, you can't say that during that time there was zero racist inclination. You can't say that. You can't say that because people were getting killed. People were getting lynched. So you're not going to tell me that no, there was absolutely no racism just because it doesn't fall into your narrative. And that's something that we were trying to point out was like, by today's standards, we would these same shit libs would say, no, we can't work with the YPO because they have a Confederate flag. Yeah. You know they would. That's the whole point I was making.
They'd be worse than the Boogaloo Boy in their
minds. Right,
yeah.
Because the Boogaloo Boys, they have a flag, their name, whatever it is. And by the way, again, I'm not defending every Boogaloo Boy out there or even the whole movement as a whole. I am telling you that they're not a monolith. Just like Black Lives Matter isn't a monolith, just like people who call themselves Antifa aren't even a monolith. So you're not going to tell me that the monolith exists only when it's convenient for your ideology. And that goes for the right-wingers who say, Antifa everywhere. Antifa under my bed, Antifa here. And for the fucking shit libs who think the Boogaloo Boys are all a bunch of Nazis. They literally call them Nazis when they're not. They're everything from anarcho-communist to anarcho-capitalist, which I think, you know, it's interesting. I don't agree with anarcho-capitalism, but I could sit and have a conversation with somebody because anarchism in itself is a giant umbrella. Because anarchism in itself is saying you do whatever your little heart desires. I mean, within reason, right? Like you could put stipulations. You can't, kill, blah, 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 whatever. But anarchist itself, it's like this self-autonomy, this independence, so that you're going to have an umbrella of people. And when we've traveled everywhere, and we see reports from Fort Fisher and how he was just filming, you saw that the Boogaloo Boys were not, were more than like half of the time, if not more than that, were at least defending the Black Lives Matter protesters were at least like trying to have conversations with people, and they were of course militarized in the sense of having guns, but that's it. I mean, they've offered many times to help in places where they haven't been wanted because of this fear of guns, of this fear of their stigma of who they are. And do some of them actually, love Kyle Rittenhouse? Maybe, perhaps. There's been some texts and stuff shared, but I'm speaking specifically of Magnus, right? Magnus is somebody that we've interacted with, and everybody keeps telling me he's a Nazi when in my interactions he's not.
Yeah. And I just think we have to too, when you're talking about we talk about Daryl Davis, who got those Klan members convinced that, hey, come on.
Yeah.
You don't even know me. Once you get to know me, and then they handed over their outfits. I've had situations like, I was in San Francisco at a baseball game, and I was wearing Mets gear, and I had these guys yelling and screaming at me, and I went standing up, and I go walking over to them, and the dude stood up like he was going to fight. And I called the beer vendor over, and I bought us all beers. And then the next thing you know, we're hugging and loving each other. And people really thought we were going to fight. But you could just kill people with love. You can kill people with understanding to get them to win them over. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something we have to do.
Yeah,
I think we have to have a little leeway when people think differently than us to convince them that maybe this other way might be better.
I think
even
there's
when
a
it does
limit
come
to
to
that,
race and religion and all those other things, unfortunately, we have to do that. So let's get rolling. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, I know you're writing something down. What do we got over here, fam?
Okay, so let's.
By the way, somebody put down, when you put down OnlyFams, they put down the condom couch. You see what you created over there?
Ow! Who
lost
would
in
do
the
that?
cushions?
No,
deep in the cushions.
No condom couch. Gross. So, okay. So let's do the Jimmy Dore interview with FHL. I want you guys to hear it because this set off a lot of shit libs who started saying this is just disgusting. Da 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 da. Red brown.
FHL is what?
Fred Hampton leftist.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Boomer.
That's how you organize. It's not left-right solidarity, class. And that's what they can't get through their fucking head. That's how you organize. And the problem with that guy, Magnus, who's a Boogaloo boy, is that those are the kind of people who used to vote for Democrats 30 years ago, and they aren't anymore because they've been squashed also by the fucking capitalist machine. Those guys are victims of the capitalist machine, just like if that guy's unemployed. He wasn't getting his COVID relief. That's why everybody's fucking bringing guns to the Capitol, because their livelihoods are being taken away from them. So why don't you engage them? And so what I tell people is, what is your message for that guy? That guy says he's pro-Black Lives Matter. He says he's pro-LGBTQ. He's anti-Trump. He's anti-war. You don't have a message for that guy? That's your fucking failure. And those are people trying to conflate what was that. Everybody, they wanted to make you think half the country's racist, and so we can't work with them. The Republican Party's always been racist. 3 out of the last 4 RNC chair people apologized for the fucking Southern strategy they've been doing my whole life. So this idea that racism just got invented by Trump is fucking crazy. And so they've been working with these motherfuckers. Joe Biden's a racist. The people are in fucking prison because of Joe Biden's racism, not because of Donald Trump. So that's what I say. Nobody who watched that interview with me doing that interview could criticize me, except that fucking jerk off Jerry who claims to be a socialist. And I go, what's your message for a guy like Matt? He goes, I don't have a message for him. I go, well, then you don't know how to fucking organize. That's not how organizing works, and that's why nobody ever heard of that guy. Yeah. I'm just telling. So if you're going to organize, when you go to at Occupy Wall Street, did you go and ask somebody, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you a libertarian? Are you a socialist? Are you a progressive? Are you a boogaloo? You don't fucking do that. That's not how you organize. Exactly. You go, here's our ideas. Here's our fucking goals. Do you share these goals? Do you want to work with us? Let's work. Hey, that's why Bernie Sanders hooks up with fucking right wingers to end the war in Yemen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But for some reason, that clip set a bunch of people off saying, oh, this is just disgusting how Jimmy Dore is doing this and blah, blah, blah. And they made it about Jimmy Dore saying that we should work with white supremacists, which he didn't say there. I mean, it's just all this bullshit. Like, it's so ridiculous. All he's saying is, like, if you're going to organize a movement, right now at this the stage we're in, right? We can't even fight an ideology against another ideology, right? Like you can't fight socialism against right-wingism because there's no, or right-wing populism or whatever the hell you want to call it, because we don't even have a fair system to do that in. We don't. We have a duopoly, which is basically an oligarchy, so we can't really do that. So in order for us to actually really gain ground as a people, we need to focus on the people at the top, and we can't do that when there are idiots saying that that's racist, that what Jimmy Dore just said is racist, and it's he's trying to align with fascists. These people, like, Magnus is not a fucking fascist, you morons. Like,
yeah.
He's not. I'm sorry, he's not. And if that gets me canceled, so be it. I don't give a shit. He's not a fucking fascist. He's not.
He's not a racist. Magnus is a great guy. I'm just curious to what you guys think too as well, because once again, I'm old. I'm 48. I was brought up in a different generation. Johnny, what are your thoughts about as far as like working with people? Like, is there a red line to somebody you can and cannot work with? I mean, you guys are from Florida, right? So you guys have seen people where you're like, nah, I'm not working with these people. I've been down in South Florida where I've seen somebody so full blown, it's like, I'm not going to even try to talk to that person because that person is over the line. But I mean, what are your thoughts to working with certain people who think different ideologies, maybe their political ideologies? Because I think a lot of nowadays, they've duped a lot of young people to think that a political ideology is racist. You know what I'm saying, the whole wall thing.
Yeah, like all Trump supporters are racist. Right?
Yes.
I think it's a good idea to contemplate and think about this situation, right? But when you're really on the ground and you do it, I can imagine that you're not really paying attention to that, and only that situation will only arise really if it arises in your situation, whatever movement you're trying to build on the ground. So if we're really talking about real movements on the ground, then I feel like what Rome's been doing, on the ground. I don't think he asked people, if you're here to help, you're here to help. He's giving out clothes, he's giving out food, he's doing mutual aid, right?
Yep.
So when that situation arises up on the ground, then you're gonna have to deal with that. If somebody comes in there and wants to help, but then like if they're yelling racist shit, no one's gonna deal with that, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But if it turns out, oh hey, you're a Republican, oh hey, you're a Trump supporter, but you want to help, okay, well let's do this thing, and then hey, we can have a discussion or something over a lunch or a beer or something about all these other issues.
Absolutely.
And you can let them know about all the shit that you know.
Yeah.
Why did you vote for Donald Trump? That's the question I would ask after you get this work done. So why, or even as you're doing it, what made you vote for Donald Trump really? And then they'll start telling you. And then you'll start talking, because trust me, like where Johnny and I live, there's a lot of people that we grew up with that are conservative. One of Johnny's best friends is conservative. I mean, it's not like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, half my uncles, they like Trump. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Like, tell them to go jump off a cliff?
Yeah, right.
Like, especially when the counter argument is the neoliberal and they were pushing Hillary Clinton. Like, which is worse? I mean, come on.
That's part of the plan.
And that's the thing. And, and then it's like, okay, well, what you guys are, a lot of the times they're, parroting narratives that aren't even true about the other. Yeah. So that's the problem. We have to be the ones that break through those stereotypes, that right. Put the truth out so people get the actual information instead of playing into the same tireless culture war.
Yeah, I think part of the plan is to have both parties so bad, because if you're trying to convince a Republican that the Democratic Party's bad, that's awful. A Democrat that the Republican, Republican and vice versa. But if you talk about ideologies, then you have a chance to say, well, this is what this is. Yeah, policies too as well.
Really,
but fam,
policy, yeah.
I think we need a zombie apocalypse, because then the Trumpers will know how to shoot guns, and the leftists, the progressives, or whatever you want to call us, they'll know how to produce their own food, and vegans, whatnot, and cook it. Well, so they'll have to work together.
Some leftists.
They'll have to work together.
Very few leftists. Neoliberals, they're screwed.
Yeah, well, yeah. So let's.
There's zombie food.
So Rome had a response to all of this. So let's go ahead and take a look at
what up, Big Rome.
I'm hearing a lot of talk about who worked with who. I'm hearing a lot of talk about who worked with who, how they did it, when they did it. But see, that's the problem. All I hear is talk. Since you know every damn thing, let me ask you something. What in the fuck have you done to reach across the aisle? And I'm not talking about to lefties or Republicans. I'm talking about real life shit. What have you done to reach across, to pull people together in different communities? What have you done to bring consciousness into class? What have you done for the little guy on the ground? All you people do is fight against people that's working against the Democratic Party. You fight against people who are building collisions to really bring class together. And I guarantee if we were sitting here sucking Joe Biden's dick, we wouldn't even be on your radar. But since we have voices and ears that will listen to us, we are a threat. And you try to smear us. You try to act like we're not doing what Fred Hampton wanted. You act like we're not doing what Malcolm X wanted us to do. But that's not the problem. The problem is we're not carrying the weight for the Democratic Party because some of you say, hey, it's about racism. But if that's the case, why didn't you call out the Lincoln Project? Why did you let them play your people? Why did you vote for Joe Biden? If it was about racism, he wouldn't be the president right now. 3 fucking generations of blacks are locked up right now because of this man. If it was about racism, he wouldn't be president right now. 2 million Iraqis are dead right now. If it's about racism, he wouldn't be in power right now. So what's the real problem? What's the problem? Stop waiting for fucking clips to try to catch us up, to try to make us look bad. Because in the long run, all of you, when the smoke clears, we're going to be standing strong. And where are you going to be? Where the fuck you going to be? What the fuck have you done? Don't check on us if you haven't checked on your own people first. On my fucking mama, I'm so sick and tired of you. Fuck, nigga.
Well, Rome, I mean, nobody can put it like Rome. What do you guys think of what he said?
Amazing. Johnny, you go first. Because I mean, that's
it was great. It was like, he's talking to the, all these, the G-offs and he's talking to all these fucking, the Democratic Party loyalists.
Yeah.
That's who he's talking to.
Oh, yeah.
Who call themselves radicals and
Oh,
say,
my
talk
God.
about
And they're not doing
revolution.
shit. That's what he's saying.
Well,
He's like,
they are
what do
doing
you know
something.
about doing something?
They're carrying water for the establishment.
And they're also being divisive. That's what they're doing.
But they say we're being divisive.
No.
That's the thing.
Because no. First of all, you can never there's that part of and there's a lot of like independent leftist streamers once again, and I hate when they do that. Oh, I'm the independent left. Now I'm a leftist myself. I consider myself a left. The only thing is I don't approach it like I'm superior to everybody on the fucking right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, well, what is their point of view? What are they thinking and stuff? And as we've moved along generations now, a lot of the left ideology fucking sucks. They're not ready for the technocratic boom. They weren't ready for this area.
They don't even discuss
Yes.
the state agencies. They don't discuss anything remotely.
They have them on their networks, fam.
With a technocratic like takeover of our government, like at all. That's because that's not something theory ever focused on because it didn't exist.
Exactly.
So that's one of the weakest areas of the left, I think. And like he's right. I mean, he's on the ground doing work, right? And when you're on the ground doing work, and then you see all these people on Twitter who have never. I mean, some of these people that hate us who live in LA, I have not seen them on the ground, like
Ever.
at all. At all, or who ask Glory Jones if she's seen certain people who constantly take clips and create clips of Jimmy Dore, myself, Niko, and a bunch of and them, like in Miami and Broward County. Has Glory Jones seen any of these people on the ground? No. Had any Palestine protests? No. All these people, we have been to so many protests. We have covered so many things, and these people just sit back and spew hatred on people trying to coalesce the working class against the 1%. Because really, at the end of the day, guys, call me a class reductionist. That's what this is fucking about. It's about the fucking workers uniting. The workers of the world unite. Hello? Did you not pay attention to fucking Marx? That's what we're talking about here. You're getting in the way of the workers of the world uniting. And like, somebody like Rome's voice is so important because as a black man that is being told constantly by a lot of white progressives that what he's doing is damaging, it really puts it in perspective to have more voices like him, like Sky Daddy, like Niko, who are just refuse to allow themselves to be tokenized by either the right or the left.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And I agree with that as a Latina. Like, I'm so fucking done getting tokenized by the Democratic Party or even by the Republican Party that can say, oh, there's more Latinos joining the party. No, dude, like I don't want to join either of your idiotic fascist parties, because at the end of the day, they're all working towards the duopoly. I want us to understand that electoralism isn't going to get us anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
I think there's a lot of young people too who were kind of bred into or born into a party ideology. So when they hear somebody, you know, a young person would hear Rome speak, and his family might be all Democratic about Democratic Party, a person like Rome will give him the courage to say, you know what? Maybe it's not just about left versus right, the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party.
Right.
Maybe we have to think a different way, and that's what I love about Rome's message. There's got to be a lot of young people he's going to give the strength. I mean, that's what Jimmy did for me at one point too, as well. It's like the thoughts I was thinking, like maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. Holy shit, I can say that out loud. It's okay to think that way. It's okay to have a different opinion than what's been told. Column A, column B. So,
right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. And I got to get Rome a Fred Hampton picture. That's going to be my my goal right now, to get him a nice.
Yeah,
Fred Hampton picture.
we have two beautiful ones from Marx the Artist and the Zago brothers.
Yes, the Zago brothers.
And they're amazing. Thank you both for that, by the way. So
they had it on a T-shirt, by the way, once.
I want a T-shirt.
It was
like
a red T-shirt and just a black print over the top. It was awesome.
So another person that's constantly attacked by the Vaush left, and all these people.
Left?
Oh yeah, they hate him. Is Caleb Maupin, right? Because they say he's a Russian and he works for RT, and I guess that's terrible now. And so this is what he said. He said, if American communists were more like Pedro Castillo and less like Vaush, things would be a lot better in this country. Out of the movement to the masses. Then he said later on, he said, blah, 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 blah. He said something else here. Don't know if I put it in there. But he said something like that. No, he said, let me see if I see it. Put it in here. I don't know where it is. Hold on. I'll try to find it on my phone. But basically what he said was the people, the socialists here in the United States would hate on Pedro Castillo and call him like a fascist, because Pedro Castillo has conservative views on social issues, right? So that's one of the things where I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can see, when we were discussing him the other day, how a lot of his views in terms of, he's not there on the LGBTQ issues. He's not there on the trans issues. He's not there in these like social issues that other, more liberal candidates might pay attention to. So he was talking about how they would cancel him. Even if he was like a teacher talking about workers and stuff, they would cancel him. Because a lot of people get like pushed by this culture war. And even though I'm not saying it's not important, the American left often thinks in binaries, and they think that only like socialist movements are in a very Western type of way. For instance, they deify the social democracies in the Netherlands and in Denmark, etc., and all these places, right, that are great. So like but they're expensive to live there, right? They're expensive to live there, and also one of the things that they never know is the reason these social democracies exist, right, is because of the exploitation of the global south. There's a reason why we're not invading Denmark right now and stealing their resources. Like, there's a reason why that happens, and it is tied racially, but it's also a part of the imperialism and the exploitation of other countries, third world countries that we consider them, countries like Peru, where they're so rich in minerals and those types of resources, or Venezuela, which are so rich in oil. Like, these countries that should be like at this level, they're not, because of the exploitation of the West. And these people often miss that whole point while considering themselves so radical and lefty. And that's why I have an issue with DSA.
I think some of these organizations too, like with the World Socialist Organization, I had a friend who lives in the Middle East. He goes, that's something you guys have to stop doing over there. Not me, us, but like Americans. Like, stop trying to push your leftist ideology and what we think leftist ideology is on all these other countries.
Right.
We just want you to stop occupying us and bombing us, and then we'll work everything out. There's going to be some stuff that's going to be conservative in your mind that you guys got to deal with. So stop trying to push this whole world socialist leftist ideology on everybody. It's just, and I think a lot of people have that feeling like, oh, the left is the best, it's the right way, the right is wrong, and I'm just going to.
And you might feel that way, but to go about it like in an elitist way is, it's just not. it's gonna put people off more because it comes off like you think you know better
Exactly.
than everybody else. And I think that's one of the issues I've had with liberals, and that's one of the issues I have with some of these progressives who pretty much mimic. Like what Steve called them, you know, a lot of these people, progressives, were liberals in training wheels, and he's right. I mean, they're pretty much going to be the next generation of liberals, which is why we're calling that out right now, because that ruined us. That's the neoliberalism is why we've had the country turn towards the right, the far right, because at the end of the day, it's the same type of global capitalist mentality that wants to engage in these interventionist wars. It's the same thing. There's very little difference, except one of them puts prettier words on social issues, but they don't really do anything about those social issues either.
Yeah. And they count on you being naive and not paying attention to the actual nuances of the policies they put forth, which you guys did an amazing job last week when we got down here and we started talking about that whole Capitol Police bill, which is just so crazy. The fact that they want to beef up the police for themselves. Just like crazy, but then go ahead and tell you they're going to defund the police. Yeah. But for themselves, they load it up. Johnny, you got anything to say before I read some Super Rays?
Yeah, I really like what Revolutionary Dissident was saying here in the chat. It was exactly what I was thinking. It was like, no imperialism/authoritarianism, lead by example, and they'll figure out it's the best system, right? Instead of trying to force people, right?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to force other countries and stuff.
Yep.
Just lead by example and show it's the best system, right? That's what Bolivia was trying to do. That's what Venezuela was trying to do. So the U.S. sanctioned them. So.
Oh yeah. People don't realize those sanctions. You talk about Madeleine Albright when she got confronted. 500,000 kids died in Iraq because of our sanctions. 500,000. Almost 500,000. And a lot of people, well, the thing that was so scary is not that she said that everybody in this cabinet, including that whole party, felt that way and allowed that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The sanction war is ridiculous. We go there, we force our monetary system on these countries by way of militarism, and then we can pull the chain on them and say, hey, if you don't act accordingly to us, we're going to starve you out. And who dies? Who pays the price? The citizens. Not anybody up top. The young kids, the poor people, they pay the price.
We're doing that in Ethiopia right now. We're sanctioning them.
Oh, God.
And because we claim that because of the whole claim that there's genocide. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow with our guests.
The U.S. government.
I think the one country that could really, if it turned and it really flipped, can cause some serious problems for the U.S. and the global South is Colombia. If Colombia flipped and then worked with Venezuela as a real true partner, forget about it. We'd be scared shitless.
And then Peru gets in the mix.
And then Peru. Well, Castillo is going to be a big thing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Whitney Webb was talking about. This is about the minerals. This is about globalism. This is about what can really, really happen down there. If Pedro Castillo gets in, wow. That's a big win. I can't wait till you go report this stuff. Anything else? Because Trey Wright, he left a Super Ray contribution. He walked in the door first. And Trey, it is
no, I had one.
Appreciate on the couch. Okay, you do have one from. So Charlie Marks is there. So Charlie Marks, thank you for the Super Ray. I can't say it because I owed Fee one. I did an extra one. Embald Fateh, fam, says, just asking, you think the synthetic leftists are extremely racist? Oh, dude, that moved up on me. If Malcolm, MLK, and Fred Hampton were here, they'd say, call them tankies and claim Vosh knows more about black people than you guys do.
No, it's true. I think somebody had mentioned that before. Like, I feel like they would because you know what? They would say, oh, they shouldn't have guns. They shouldn't carry guns. They would say things like, oh, but they're too radical. They just want to, destroy everything. Like, that's what they say about, they call us tankies. Like, when actually, I'm actually trying to avoid a lot of it. I mean, I don't know if there is any way of avoiding it at this point, but I'm trying to go the way where we have an occupation before we start, pulling out the guillotine. But these people talk revolution and act like, oh yeah, I'm going to make little earrings of guillotines and blah, blah, blah. But then they never actually do the whole work that it takes. They consider the working in the Democratic Party, pushing legislation, and that's not going to get us anywhere at this point.
Fam, they want a riskless revolution. They want to sit there on their keyboard and they just want to fucking join people who say things. What's the safe thing? Whatever the party's saying, let's just join in.
Whatever
in
AOC
with them.
says.
They don't want to risk having an independent thought in fear that they might be chastised or degraded for it. So, I mean, it's just terrible. Very anti-intellectual, if you ask me. Joni Bug said, I loved your video regarding Brian Sicknick. Are you talking about the one yesterday when we were cursing and stuff? Because you could see how the mainstream media just exploits everybody, the Democratic establishment. government exploits everybody. They exploit his mother. They exploit us. They built a whole narrative around our video, ladies and gentlemen. A whole fucking narrative around our video. They wouldn't be talking that and trying to push policies because he was the one cop that died that they can go and say, look at what happened. Oh my God, this guy died defending our democracy, fam.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And notice how they don't mention Angela Babbitt, who the cop shot. Like that's completely left
She deserved it, right?
And a lot of the left ignores it because they don't like her
cheered it
ideology.
on.
Yes.
Yeah, and they cheered it on. I got called a white supremacist for standing against that execution
Any
of that
state
woman.
authorized-
I stand against police brutality, period. I don't care who you are or what your political ideology is. It's wrong when the police overstep their power. That woman did not need to die.
No, she could have gotten tased or something. Like, if they really didn't want her to get in
Shoot
there,
him in the leg.
she could have gotten tased or something. You know, they didn't have to kill her.
No,
I'm
they didn't.
I'm right there with you, fam. I'm completely against any state-authorized murders. That was a state-authorized murder.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
But fam, they were defending democracy. Okay. Embald Fate says, I get what Jimmy's saying, but that talking point is outdated. Bernie is not working with right-wingers to end the Yemen war anymore. Joe Biden, a right-winger, will not end Yemen, and Bernie's just fine with that.
Yeah. He was pushing legislation with Republicans at one point. That's what he meant. But yeah, I mean, at this point, none of them are actually, Yemen hasn't even been on the radar.
Yeah.
And Yemen, I mean, come
and
on.
guess what? Everybody's going to forget about Israel-Palestine now.
Yeah.
Now it's going to go away.
Yeah, and Palestinians
Shit's still
aren't
going
allowing
on.
that,
They're still getting
but,
evicted.
yeah.
Still going to get freaking murdered. But yeah, it's just going to go away.
Right.
You did an awesome video about that, talking about it's the news cycle and people move on. We live in the United States of amnesia, ladies and gentlemen. And what happens last week will be forgotten next week. And it's a shame because there's a lot of things. And this is the point of American exceptionalism I hate. We talk and we argue about our pronouns and whatnot over here in the States while people are dying at the hands of American imperialism.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
A
Not to say that
Palestinian
this
kid-
isn't an issue, fam, and I have to go say this is an issue. Yes, but what the fuck? We can just ignore what we're doing worldwide? I'm sorry.
A
No way.
Palestinian kid was just murdered by the IDF.
Yeah.
And he was autistic. So
Yeah.
you see the parallels here, right? This
Yeah.
is why we always talk about the parallels here, how our domestic policy is our foreign policy. It's the same fucking shit, the same type of training, the same mentality above everything else, the same type of mentality.
Roar Media says, love our Convo Couch family. We love you too, Oz. We love you too, Shanda. We love you too, Amber. And anybody else from the Roar family.
Roar. Franklin! Hey, it's Franklin.
Glenn. Embald Fate also said it was about racism. If it was about racism, shit libs in the synthetic left would be talking about Joe Biden, how he brought back slavery to Africa, and they would be talking about it every friggin' day.
Exactly.
Because
And
he's
when
all a part of
fate-
that. Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to talk about the civil war that's going on in the Ukraine? Joe Biden gave the thumbs up and then got people removed that were going after. Yeah, I mean, we're going after his family.
Neo-Nazis.
Roar Family also says, the Roar Media, we make clips of you guys all the time because we love you. And we love you too. We're buying overalls when we're having an overall buying situation,
Totally.
you know. The fam is going to get, we're going to call it the Ozeralls. No, that didn't make sense. Glory Jones.
Boomer.
The
Glory
fuck
Jones.
is this red brownism I'm watching? These fools that stoke QAnon insurrections. So much hate. Glory Jones, look, I'm learning, babe. I'm learning.
No cap, Glory.
No cap. I'm learning. And sorry for the
Sorry, I had to
babe.
do it.
Sorry for
I
using
just-
the babe. I was watching
yeah.
The Sopranos yesterday, and my jersey is out over here.
That's-
We call guys, babe. Babe,
The
what are you
reason-
talking
The
about?
reason pasta is because of The Sopranos. If you watch The Sopranos and then you look at pasta, you know that's where he gets his whole shtick. Okay.
That is not true. That's how my whole family has talked my whole life. There's nothing I can do. Come on, Fee.
You can't take the picture without Michael. Okay?
Let pasta give it to me, LOL, because it's always appreciated. Love you, fam. I just read his tweet. It's not his tweet. His
whatever. Fam.
his thing.
All
All
right.
Where
so,
we at?
All right. So I want we have our friend Steve here, Steve Pokemon.
Oh my God! Did you just really do that out loud?
I did that on purpose because I know it pisses him off. Okay. So he said, "Oh wait, I want you to read it. What am I doing?"
Holy shit, please. Do something other than culture war porn for people who they think nuance means being tattooed while repeating deep state talking points. Their serfs are political TMZ for disaffected burners on their way of being full-fledged shitbird liberals.
Okay, because the serfs posted And you know, the fact that it got
The
this many
serfs.
likes really makes me lose my faith in anybody on the left in America. He said, "Holy shit. Please vet your sources just once challenge," because Jimmy Dore put a tweet from Syrian girl.
Why?
Right?
Why doesn't she deserve
Is
to be
it
talked
true
about?
that both you and Cenk Uygur also said shed doubt on the State Department version of the chemical attacks in Syria, both in 2017? I think it's 17. It could have been before, and 2018. What's your real issue with Aaron Matei? So she's defending Aaron Matei here. You know, everybody was clapping back, and David Duke interviewed a Syrian girl, right? David Duke interviewed her. Now, I haven't seen that. I don't know how that interview worked. In terms of what Syrian girl has said about American domestic BLM stuff, she's been wrong, and I've called her out on that. Saying that Jimmy Dore can't ever share a tweet about her because she was interviewed by David Duke once is fucking ridiculous. And who are you to gatekeep? Like, who are you to decide what is okay and what isn't? It's this is the authoritarian streak in the left that I just cannot stand. I cannot stand it. It's like, no, that's bad. You can't. Once she did something wrong, no, you can't ever use
Cancel
her.
culture.
It's not wrong for her to be interviewed by David Duke. It's not. If I were interviewed by a white supremacist or whatever the fuck you want to call him, I would challenge them. Now, I don't like David Duke, right? I think he is a racist, frankly. That's her fucking prerogative. That doesn't mean that everything she says from here on out can't ever be right. I don't have to like her. I don't even have to like agree with her on a lot of things. But what she said there is true. Why can't the left, and the left, I mean the synthetic left, these people literally separate like what a person's ideology is from what they say, and sometimes they're going to be right. And if I say Tucker Carlson is right on one thing, that doesn't change how I feel about Tucker Carlson personally. Like, it's like this whole idea that you can't at all, like, no, you can't talk about her, you can't bring her up, you can't put her on screen because she was interviewed by David Duke. She didn't interview David Duke, she was interviewed by him.
Yeah.
Guys, even that, and as somebody that is a political commentator like she is, she should be allowed. Like I said before, I don't have a problem with Anna interviewing
Madeleine Albright.
It's the lack of pushing back. How you do it is what matters.
Yeah, if I had a chance to interview David Duke, I'd go at him like, yo, let's go. You know what I'm saying? These are the things. Let's call these things out. And I mean, why would you take that opportunity? And Syrian girl has been wrong because she doesn't know what the hell is going on in the ground over here. And a lot of people get that wrong. Let's be honest then. And I think that we have to, Ford Fisher, he put out something that he said, like, a lot of people don't understand what's really going on with these protests. And you might not exactly agree with them, but 99% of it is peaceful, it's talking, it's, and then you have them, these people that come along, and that's what's highlighted by one side. Yeah. So Syrian girl was kind of repeating that same bullshit that was highlighted by one side. Right. So she was wrong there, but she's been spot on when it comes to Syria, what's going on in Syria.
She's Syrian.
For a long time. She's Syrian, but I mean, she was also a very nuanced Syrian person. I've seen her in debates, I've seen her on shows and stuff like that. Yeah. She just knows her stuff. She knows her stuff about the Middle East. So therefore, you know what I'm saying?
You're not going to agree with somebody on everything, dude. No. Like, you're just not.
And this is stupid. This is the culture war that the establishment is propagating and pushing out there because they want us divided so we don't pay attention to their bad policies and the way they're just raping the middle class and the poor people of this country. Johnny.
And by that standard, fam, Cenk interviewed David Duke.
Yeah. He interviewed David Duke.
I have no problem with that. I didn't see the interview. I'll probably have a problem with the interview.
People are like, by that standard, anyone that does an interview with Duke is bad standard. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, it's hypocritical. That's what I mean. These people are hypocrites too. You can pretty much, whenever they get mad at Jimmy Dore for going on Tucker Carlson, they cheerlead Nomiki Konst when she's on there, or Cornel West, or anybody, right? And Nomiki Konst, all she does is try to get at Tucker Carlson rather than actually have a substantial debate on something deeper than culture war politics. That's all she does. But no, they okay that because they consider, oh, well, she's pushing back. No, she's not. She's not doing anything of substance. But you guys just have two double standards on people who you like and people who you don't like.
Didn't she elevate a racist girl too as well? Whatnot?
What's her face?
The one
from The View.
No,
but she said that they were best friends too. It was funny.
There was somebody small who used to come after us. Mm-hmm. And
that girl.
Yeah, she was taken down, and then she was given her channel back right away. But
Yeah.
when we saw her old comments, they were racist as can be.
Oh yeah.
And yet people are still elevating
Andrea,
that. You
I
know,
think that's her name.
it's because her ideology is in the place they want to be. Because now Andrea, whatever her name is now all Team Blue. So now it's okay to prop her up, despite the fact that she made some serious racist claims.
Absolutely, and that's what they do. And speaking of hypocrisy,
I love this. This is beautiful.
Biden told Putin that Putin needs to respect human rights during a meeting in Geneva.
Hold on.
Pasta, are you okay? Are you okay? Okay. And I said, my tweet was like, Putin said, "You first."
No. Well, it's gonna. That's what he said. That's what they're saying. That's what the Hill's saying. Biden to urge Putin to respect human rights during the meeting, which is supposed to happen, and they didn't give the date for some reason. I don't know why, but it's supposed to happen sometime soon.
Which is interesting. A lot of people were talking about this meeting and how, like, you know, we have been putting this idea that Trump was so soft on Putin when he actually wasn't.
No.
And now all of a sudden Biden is like trying to get meetings with Putin. It's just so ridiculous. Like, and nobody's talking about it. The media isn't talking about it. They're like completely just ignoring the fact that Biden is reaching out to Putin. The Biden administration is it's just so funny because if Trump were doing that, right? If Trump were doing that.
Yeah, forget about it. A different story.
Oh my God, Trump and Putin's are
puppet.
best friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Putin's
just so
puppet.
you guys, you understand like what we're dealing with here. It's every day. It's like
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is if you just look at the actions right now of Putin compared to when they were with Donald Trump, like Putin's not playing any games with Biden. He knows this administration. He knows all the players, the Blinkens, the Sullivans, the Jeffrey Pyetts. He knows them all. That's why when that shit went down in Belarus, it's going down. It's like there's a red line now that wasn't there before when Obama was the president. Now it's just a different game, and Putin's not taking any of it as a leader of his country, and they've gotten closer and closer and closer with China, and they're gonna what's the word, de-dollarize. They're gonna pull out the dollar out of their whole economy as much as they can, and they're not going to allow this regime change mentalities, these NGOs, to be littered all over their countries and all over these proxy places. So it's a different story. So I mean, if you just judge by the way the Biden's getting treated by Putin, you know who he's more like, okay, watch out for these guys right now, because he knows what they did. He knows what they did in the Ukraine. He knows what they did in Georgia. This is the same people. The band is back together, and it's pretty scary too as well, because these situations. I mean, it would be scary if Biden acts, or whoever's pulling the Biden strings, if they act, as their norm, as they used to. But they can't do that anymore. You can't have a war anymore. China and Russia are too big.
We don't have the upper hand anymore, really. We're losing it very quickly to China. And that's why you see a lot of, like, the anti-China this and that. But, like, that's part of the whole thing.
Johnny? Or do you want to, before we go to the next one, I got a couple super rays real quick. Glory Jones says, it's always appreciated.
Did she really say that?
Look
Glory
right there.
Jones, what the hell, dude?
That's your friend there. Call her up.
No. Steve, come on. Take my
And Andrea
here.
says, fam, always appreciated you guys on the couch.
Oh my God.
She said that right there. I'm reading, fam. I'm just reading.
Yeah, you have to read it normal.
Jindo says the Convo Couch receives the tip, so it's always appreciated. Fam's going to hear this in her sleep tonight. Action for Assange. Don't forget to type www.homerunforjulian.com. Month-long for demand Julian Assange's freedom across the U.S. Julian's father, its brother, right? Mm-hmm. Going around. Mm-hmm. So please get out there. Yeah. Action for Assange. No doubt. We love you guys. Everybody from Action for Assange. Misty, Andrew, Taylor, Steve. All the old school people, we love you guys. Allie's there now, so we love you guys. Thank you so much. There it is. Home run for Julian. Baseball analogies.
And it's his birthday's coming up soon, and I know people are organizing for that. Missy's done a great job with the billboards, like an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's amazing to have the billboards. Believe me or not, that's a really good idea, and it really just puts it in perspective. Who's Julian Assange? People are going to say, who is that? It really, believe it or not, it's going to strike like curiosity, at least in people. It does help a lot, and that's something that we used here when independents were trying to raise money for Bernie advertising, because the campaign, I guess, couldn't figure it out themselves. They did this on their own, and they put out billboards for Bernie. Well, Assange, it's something that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, okay, who is that? Cool, okay. Let's learn more about that. I think it's a lot. It does a lot.
And then the last tip so far from Mark, in Caitlin Johnstone's article, The Screams of a Dying Empire, notes from the edge of the narrative matrix, she mentions that an Israeli Obama wouldn't have lost control of the narrative like that. It's the reason why there's going to be a new PM of Israel, Prime Minister of Israel. It's the Trump bad syndrome. Well, there's going to be a new prime minister too as well, because a lot of people inside that country, they're done, and they're fed up with him. Yeah. They want him
but
gone.
It's not going to change.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
no,
not going to change
when they've had their leftist people, you know what I'm saying? Perez and so they still were imperialist empires. That's why I'm talking about just saying leftist is not good enough. Those were part of the Labor Party of Israel, and so.
Yeah, they did the same thing.
Same thing.
All right, so you put another Steve tweet.
Is that Steve? I will smack you across the... Well, it's my favorite tweet here. It goes, see y'all in the woods. And it says, me and my friends living off the grid after refusing and they crossed out the vaccine. But you got to play the music, Johnny, and them dancing. This is just beautiful here. He couldn't stop playing this. He said, I thought this was awesome. I played it about 5 times. He sees himself. There they are.
Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Show them, girl, yeah. Boom, boom, bow, bow, boom, 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 bow, 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 boom, boom, bow, 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 boom, 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 yeah.
Had to play that one. That was my favorite tweet this week. And Steve's like, I can't stop playing it. He's like, I'll meet you in the woods. Get out there.
Yeah, you and Steve 30 years from now.
By the way, the Hill is turning into some shit freaking...
Fam.
Oh, I mean, but they're getting worse. It's like they hired a bunch of freaking neoliberals now. So you got a bunch of anti-China conservative right people and neoliberals on the left. It's, they're losing any balance they have whatsoever.
What
really
is this,
does
Slow
suck.
News Day show? What the hell?
It's the Slow News Day show and stuff like that. Hey, man, well, they have their cartoons out there. We gotta put it out there because it's gonna.
Fams.
Yeah, it's the fam. Well, you can click on them.
Joking.
You got Allie and.
You gotta read it.
Oh crap! I haven't even done this yet. Huge shout out and many thanks to Yeti Slang for making the Slow News Day crew look presentable in this fucking cartoon. Much love, brother. Check out his work at JohnnyLarson.com. There's Glory, Allie, Sleepy Josh.
It's beautiful. Like the art. I mean, the detail. It looks just like them.
It does.
It's really...
Johnny, if you can click on the pictures real quick, though, the cartoon picture.
I did.
You did? Okay, I didn't see it. Well, the very next one, too, as well, while we're on them, too, as well, because they're wearing our gear.
Look at that. The
and
fam.
it was his birthday last week. Come on now.
Happy
Sleepy
belated
Josh.
birthday to Sleepy J.
Mona, we love you. Mona designed our fuck censorship. She is awesome.
So she got a fam shirt.
They got fam shirts. Look, I said when you guys are together next, I want a picture of you guys both in our fam shirts because they are fam.
And
Show
we
them the
know
coffee
Sleepy
mug.
J hates the fam thing, but he wore it.
Show them the mug. They're fam. When you're
See?
fam, you're fam. And I hope one of the Roar Media people use our mugs soon as well. They're fam.
When you're fam, you're fam.
When you're fam, you're fam.
It's like the Olive Garden saying, right, fam?
Yeah. Fam, watch it. Don't you ever do that again.
Some more of your links.
Okay. This one right here, I couldn't find the Instagram picture. But, fam, I just want to point it out because we said this. You guys know I'm a Knicks fan. Right? And great year, great team. Made the playoffs. It was amazing. The Knicks will only sell tickets to vaccinated fans if they advance to the second round of the NBA players. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Only vax fams.
That's it. Only vax fams. The Knicks. Wow. I mean.
Well,
wow.
fam.
Just
Good thing I don't
showing
play
ya.
team
There it
sports.
goes.
Just showing it.
There it goes.
Just showing it.
There it goes.
There it goes.
That's it.
I've got some stuff.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, great. So fams.
Fams.
Yes, fams.
Hundreds participated in an armed Second Amendment march. That's what they say it was. It was on the anniversary of the Tulsa tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And this Instagram page I follow, they are called Official Frankhampton Gun Club. And so yeah, I'm showing some of the things they posted. Hundreds of black gun owners are marching on Black Wall Street this weekend. That was Black Wall Street. And apparently it was a historical moment. I'm going to show you guys some footage here. Like, look at this.
Black power! Black power! Black power! With guns.
Like water.
No.
I am
I am
a revolutionary.
a revolutionary.
I am
I am
a revolutionary.
a revolutionary.
I am
I am
a revolutionary.
a revolutionary.
I am a revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
Stand for nothing less than freedom or fucking death.
Goddamn right.
We not terrorists.
Hell
We are
no.
anti-terrorists.
Now.
We will fight if we have to.
In that order.
That's why you say the new Black Panther Party for what? Self-defense. Not self-offense. Self-what?
Defense.
Which means if you harass our people,
We fucking with
our
you.
beautiful men, our women, and our children,
Mm-hmm.
we will stop at nothing to run through your ass like water.
Now.
For 400 years, we have sat around and allowed travesty after travesty after travesty after travesty again. From King Leopold all the way to the United States of America. So with that being said, it's time to do things different, Tulsa. Last time I came out here on a recon mission, I'm going to tell you what I saw, and this is no disrespect to y'all at all. But when I looked in the eyes of my brothers, and it looked like y'all didn't have no life in you. When I looked at the eyes of my sisters, and it looked like you was disappointed. Now I want you to look in the eyes of these brothers. I want you to look in the eyes of these sisters. And then look in the mirror. And when you do, like Fred Hampton once said, you will say, I am a revolutionary. A revolution is nothing more than a thought process that in itself becomes infectious. A revolutionary is that person that dares carry out that thought process. It might mean death, but death means life. So we don't fear death because we still fucking live.
Goddamn right.
I am.
I am.
So yeah, there was some footage of that from their Instagram. They have a bunch of stuff on their Instagram. What do you guys think?
Well, to me, I think people don't talk about the story about Tulsa's Wall Street, Black Wall Street, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We got to talk about that, you know what I'm saying? Because that was a movement where they saw people of color, when they say, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, they were like, okay, we will. We'll create our own
Right.
community, our own
Right.
banks. And what do?
They literally
fucking tore
like
it down.
bombed it. They literally bombed
They
it.
bombed the shit out of it.
They
And
literally
that's something Niko talks about a lot, you know, with the whole situation. So you can just see it's twisted. And, you know, they did it by pitting black people against white people again. They've done this for years. The Black Panther Party was pitted as a bunch of radicals, whatnot, and that were gun-toting crazies that we have to freaking make sure that we lock up and take away their guns. Meanwhile, what are all the programs they're doing?
That's why
they're
they
doing what
propped
Rome's
up.
doing
They
now.
propped up MLK until he started talking about capitalism and imperialism.
Imperialism,
The moment
yeah.
he started talking about that, they
Gone.
completely omitted that from the history books. Every time that I was taught about MLK, it was only about his "I Have a Dream" speech.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about his anti-capitalist speeches, his social, pro-socialist speeches, his anti-imperialist speeches later on in his life when he started going from a pacifist to somebody that's like, okay, I understand why I have to be armed now. And that's when people are against the Second Amendment. You know, I get it. I used to be more for gun control. But when you realize that the working class, especially people who that encompasses a lot of marginalized communities, if you're going to disarm them, then what the hell are you doing? Like the police are armed, the military's armed. Look how they're treating you. No, sorry, we're not. Like, it's actually, I love seeing this on the ground. I love seeing that people are really talking about the Second Amendment. I would like to see more coalition building across the board. And I think then we can get like this working class movement, because as Magnus has said, and as others too on the ground have said, when you show up there with a group that has guns, and the police don't mess around with the protesters as much. They really don't. What do they want? They don't want a bloodbath. I mean, that's going to look bad on them. And that's the thing. And I love how they were, you know, I've been hearing more of Fred Hampton's words I am a revolutionary. These things, but people are on the ground doing this. People are on the ground marching, and you're going to see the liberals be like, "Oh my God, that's too much. There's violence," because the liberals aren't here for that. They're always going to align themselves with the ruling class. So are the people who want the country to remain as is. On the right, they're going to align themselves with the ruling class. It is the people who are suffering from the ruling class that are going to say, wait a minute, now something needs to happen here so we can get our country back. Our country no longer belongs to us. I don't know if it ever did, really, because this country was founded on, we all know, slavery and genocide. So, it's like, okay, well, if we want to get anywhere, what do we have to do to get the people the power? Because corporations, the big tech, and these state agencies are the ones in power here. Not even Biden, not even the PR narrative managers in Congress. It's literally those agencies.
Hey, just think about our history. It's so crazy, too, as well. Genocide. We wiped out a whole race of people when we came here to take their land and their resources. We used slavery, people from Africa, you know what I'm saying, to build this country for elites. And then we convinced a bunch of stupid white people to kill each other in a huge war to fight for that against their own freaking, their own self-interest. Their own self-interest. In other words, you know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, these elites cannot use slave labor now. And they have to give you guys jobs and everybody jobs now. And they went and fought against that. It's stupid. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? They've been pulling the strings. It's time and that's why these groups. Johnny, I would like to see the clip when the police officer and them were talking of what's being said, if that's cool. Because this is just intriguing as can be.
Yeah, this is crazy. We had no idea about this.
Oh, I'd love to go. I would have loved to have been there and talk to these people. Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This needs so in California, open carry was a thing before, and then the Black Panthers started opening carry, and then they Ronald Reagan as governor banned it, especially when the Black Panthers rode up to the Capitol and protested.
He ran like a little bitch.
Yeah,
he went running inside, Johnny. He's like, I'm out of here.
Okay,
he was on the lawn giving a speech to grade schoolers, and he went. They like, Ronald, get inside.
Yeah. So here's this video.
It's okay.
We want decent education.
Yeah, it's more like background.
Yeah,
footage, so it's not really. I'm sure there's a lot of footage out there about this. If you look up Tulsa Black Panthers or something like Tulsa Gun March or something.
There's been a lot of criticism of the new Black Panther Party compared to the old Black Panther Party. You know what I'm saying? I've read stuff, and once again, I'd like to see it for myself and talk to people, get there and whatnot and stuff. So to see what's going on. Do you have anything else to play, or should I read a couple Super Rays first?
Go ahead and read a couple Super
Rays. So Arem says, towards Fiorella's feelings. Thank you, Arem. That's a very lovely tip for your feelings. And Arem wrote something, so therefore I wouldn't have to do. It's always appreciated on the couch. Shadowban Refugee in the house. What's up? What? Shadowban Refugee. By the way, 68 people over here. Let's get everybody over to the Rokfin if we can. ROKFIN. Hit the thumbs up. All the fam on the cuck tube, breaking my heart and soul. On the cuck tube. I love it. I'm going to march to the Pinche Alpha Cuck headquarters in robes and sandals with a staff and bring the 10 plagues of Egypt upon them, unless they let my people go. To Rokfin, P.S. Fuck Anna, Consparian. I'm reading, guys. I'm just reading there.
Who's Super?
That's Shadowban Refugee, of course. Glory Jones. Y'all gonna flame the fuck out of all these hoes when y'all get on the ground for some real election shit. It's dinner time, and we got some organic and peerless cucks on the menu. Fuck the New Deal. They want to push in Africa while we're here. Yep. And cause it, what's IK stand for?
I know.
Cause I know it pisses off the Zion Nazis from the river to the sea. Much love, fam. I got so much hate. I didn't get
Oh my God. What is IK? It's okay. You know what? I didn't know the auto scroll, so I'm gonna give you.
Give me a pass.
But it was hilarious watching you read Glory Jones talk. It's definitely not as good as your Steve.
Well, you should do Glory Jones then from now on. 57 thumbs up, guys. We have over 80 people watching. We need you to hit that thumbs up button. If you're on the YouTubes, let me just acknowledge a few people on the YouTubes really quick, John,
You're
before you
acknowledged.
go. Doug in Orlando, thank you so much. Brian Brown. Another worldview.
Stay human.
Another worldview.
Another worldview. What's up?
What's up? Stay human. Johnny just said stupid Enochs. Of course. Loris Losi is there too as well. Atras. Joni Bug is on both spots. Joni, that's why we love you. Doc Valiant. Sam Kin. Big Baby Zubas. An old school listener, watcher, whatever you want to call him. Thank you so much. Johnny, get on to your next
P.
point.
Wayne Smith, Maui Bill.
See, Johnny's got him over there.
Bad Main
258.
Light. So, okay, the next thing I got. So,
What you got, Johnny?
So, there's been an exhibition put up in Palestine displaying the aftermath of the recent Israeli attacks.
Ooh.
And this opened up in Gaza. So here's some footage of that.
Wow. This is going to be great.
You guys can watch that footage. I'm going to talk. It's called an exhibition called Witness to Crime 2021, documenting the aftermath of the recent aggression between Israel and Hamas opened Tuesday. Most of that aggression coming from Israel. The exhibition includes approximately 270 images in which the infrastructure, economic facilities, population, and media towers were targeted by occupation in the recent
media towers
aggression. It was organized. This exhibition was organized by the Gaza Government Ministry of Information and displays photographs taken by 23 Palestinian journalists who covered the recent bombardment. The exhibitions to give light to the destruction of the citizens of Gaza, experienced in the 11-day siege. It's been the worst outbreak of violence between Israel and Gaza since 2014.
Yep.
It left 12 Israelis and 248 Palestinians dead. So that's that. So here's some pictures you guys can see. You guys are seeing the pictures. There's some crew. That's a child there, I think. That's another person just in the dirt there. There's
It's like a leg hanging out.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine?
No. I mean, it's hard to imagine.
Can you imagine?
And
There's
this
a
is
broken
still happening.
camera.
Slow genocide is happening.
Al Jazeera camera too.
And Al Jazeera literally perpetuated the propaganda about the Syrian chemical attacks, and they still got attacked. That just goes to show you it doesn't even work sucking up.
So you can see some of these missiles that didn't come out. You know, she's taking a picture.
أهم الزوايا اللي شفتها موجودة هنا كانت
She's saying that the most important angle that I saw in the exhibition was in the humanitarian work and focusing the spotlight on it and saving children and people under the rubble. These were the difficult tasks in light of the bomb, and also the medical staff are working hard. So she was saying, she's talking about the humanitarian work, and saving people under the rubble and children under the rubble, and then the medical staff, all the work they've been doing. There's a guy who has no legs. Coming into the
without getting like top-notch equipment and the difficulties of being bombed out while they're working. It's they're heroes, to be honest. Like the doctors.
Oh, that's a journalist on a wheelchair. That's a journalist. So some of his pictures are probably up there.
Yeah, they attack journalists too, and that's the worst thing. These people
often.
You could actually probably save somebody's leg if you had the right equipment and the right.
So here's this journalist. He says, "We as Palestinian journalists have broken the Israeli narrative and published our photos in international forums, and these photos will be a witness to the crime committed by the Israeli occupation against civilians. And it is a hope for many people who came out of the rubble and destroyed their shops and homes and returned to life again."
المدنيين وبحق الإعلاميين
وهي
أمل أيضا لكثير من الناس.
They're the ones that have really risking their lives, especially the independent journalists.
But the United States doesn't hit journalists, fam. Not the independent journalists either. But collateral murder? What was that about?
Right, but our weapons will.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing, right?
And we'll say, oops, we didn't know. We thought it was a gun. No, it was a camera.
Eva Bartlett was talking about how, in her documentation, how she came within inches of getting shot, and that's the thing, it's harder for Israel to shoot an American, so they tend to be a little bit more conservative with their fire when there's an American or a foreigner, specifically a Western foreigner, with the Palestinians. And so in a way she was protecting the Palestinians by being around them.
And then this gentleman is saying he's the public relations officer. The exhibition includes approximately 270 images in which the infrastructure, economic facilities, population, and media towers were targeted by the occupation. Yeah, in the recent aggression.
That's
so
a wonderful exhibition.
So there's a lot of
people need
photos
to
there.
see.
Yeah, it's a lot. This information, you know, history needs to be detailed. It needs to be, the story needs to be told correctly.
The real story.
The truth, right?
Yeah, the truth.
So there's your evidence. There's like evidence of everything there, you know. Broken tripods, missiles there that didn't go off, and
Or how about even the argument that the other side gets the chance to tell their story because their story's never told, and yet our government and our leaders, you see how they're acting.
We just gave them
they were
money.
crying
We
about
should
more
give them
about the anti-Semitism, you know what I'm saying,
Right,
that was coming
right,
out of this whole situation where,
And
guys,
fuck
you got
you,
people with no legs
by the
getting
way.
pulled out of the rubble because we're speaking out against the state of Israel and what they're doing.
I will say though that there are some people that took advantage of this and definitely were probably trying to do anti-Semitic stuff. You know,
Yeah.
There's
I'm
definitely-
sure. Very,
I'm
very
just
few.
saying that. I'm
very
saying
few
that.
and far between, though. It's very, very few. Of course, there's always
Not
going to
denying
be
that didn't happen.
those people that exist, but it's very few. And I'm not going to give it legitimacy when you're fucking fuck to the people that actually talk about anti-Semitism only in terms of Jewish people, because that includes Palestinians, it includes Arab people. They are Semites too, and that narrative never gets told. Every time they cry about anti-Semitism, yeah, it fucking exists, but it also exists when you talk about how we bomb Syrians, how we bomb like people in the Middle East. Look at all the millions of dead Iraqis. These are people. There's a lot of Semites who are Arab. It's as simple as that. We never get to tell the story. Palestinians never get to ever complain about that because they're discarded as not being a Semitic people when they are.
Yeah.
And obviously there's always going to be people who are take advantage of this to spew hatred, of course, but that's not the majority of people, and that's a cop-out that they always use to not have any accountability, dude.
Well, it's also too it's been weaponized more than anything. Yeah, of course we're against any form of racism or bigotry, and that's awful and stuff. And like Reverend Annie said, when the Jews came to America, they caught shit, and this is true. But nowadays, any type of talk against the state of Israel and their militarism or their imperialism is looked at and viewed, especially by our Congress, who's bought off by AIPAC, as anti-Semitism. That is a crock of shit. And that's something that's going on a lot. And they have to stop that shit. And we have to call it out. Apartheid Israel. That's it. Apartheid Israel, plain and fucking simple. We got to say that. And, you know I'm at a new spot right now. And I grew up with a lot of Jewish friends. A lot of mentors of mine were Jewish and stuff like that. But I'm done with the state of Israel, just with the militarism against the Palestinians. It's ridiculous. And it's a situation that we need to bring to the table and work out, okay? It was land taken away from one group of people, given to another group of people by a third group of people.
Yeah.
And it's our support for that, and we can't avoid that stuff. So we have to have conversations about that. You know what I'm saying? And once again, me too, growing up in Boca Raton when I moved from New York, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit more understanding, and I talk to people and stuff, you know, and I have a lot of friends and, like I said, mentors who are Zionists and stuff. So I talk to them and stuff. But it's the whole weaponization of saying what is anti-Semitic nowadays, which is disgusting. When you speak out at what Netanyahu's doing, it doesn't make you an anti-Semite, plain and simple.
It makes you an anti-Semite to condone the genocide happening to
I gotta
Palestinians
plug in
because
your
it's not
computer.
just genocide. It's not just apartheid. It's genocide. It's not just blatant genocide. It's slow genocide.
Yeah.
And then that
It's
has
open-air
to be
prison.
said. It's got to be talked about. There's no bomb shelters they can go to. They're not allowed. It is an open air prison, and I'm not going to sit here and mince my words when it comes to that anymore because the United States is looking the other way right now because it's convenient for them politically, because Israel is their beloved military base for the United States government, and that's the bottom line. We don't care about people. The government doesn't care about people. They care about exploiting them for resources, and we don't even see the benefit. So if you're going to talk about America first, well, it's not even America first right now. Israel's getting all your money. So let's talk about that for a second. How Israel gets better livelihood. They get better life expectancy, better health care than the working class here do. Simultaneously, we bomb brown people over there, and then people put Black Lives Matter and all this crap here when they don't talk about the imperialism that we do to people of color worldwide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead, Johnny.
I was just going to say, I recommend everybody to watch Gaza Fights for Freedom. It's out now. Abby Martin did a great job on this, and we have our disagreements or whatever with Abby Martin or some things, but this was a great documentary. The people that they hired to do
Right.
the work down there they did amazing work. So and I had no idea it was like what it showed on here. I had no idea. Like it was disgusting. So that's
I think his name is Kevin O'Keefe. I can't remember the homeboy, the ex-Marine, who talks a lot about the stuff where he, like, you know, tried to break a blockade with his Palestinian brothers, and he was on a ship, and Israeli special forces entered jumped on that ship. He tells a whole story about it. It's amazing. Some of his work back in the days, and he was like one of the first back in the days to speak out loudly against the state of Israel. And what they were doing to the Palestinians. Anything else same topic before I read some Super Rays?
No.
Okay, Chuck Zlatkin. Thank you so much, Chuck Zlatkin, for the Super Ray contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Imposter Kevin, how do you not get depressed? Asking for my friend Kevin. Imposter Kevin, thank you so much. Here's another shadow ban refugee Super Ray. This guy is all energy. And I came down from the Sinai mountain with the golden tablets written in God's own hand to find my people continue to worship the golden cuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to break that fucking tablet and open the floodgates to Rokfin to keep my people out of the fucking cuck tube mind control that censors our Palestinian fam in the favor of Zion Nazis. Make Palestine again.
I'm with you there. That's
Fucking
awesome.
love Shadow Man.
I love the references to Moses.
Okay, Glory
That was
Jones
great.
is requesting a Mallorca read this one. So, fam, I made it. Oh, sorry, hold on. Extra big. Right there.
Here, one of the Majorcas can read this one. LMAO, Super Ray Rant Point 21 or Part 2.
You
See,
boomer.
no, I'm like,
Part 2, you boomer. Jesus. Sorry,
I
Glory.
didn't see it.
Start over again.
IDK, what's up with all these hoe-ass cucks who think us talking about the Great Reset is some anti-Semitic conspiracy? But bruh, that shit's long as fuck, to be honest, and that's what she said. LMAO. Douche cunts don't know shit about deep sea mining, the shadiness of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and digital colonization. Anyways, GLDM, I'm not going to say what that means, and fuck Eric Cunt Douche Shetty. Yeah,
Eric
dude.
Cunt Duchetti.
You were so lucky you don't have to deal with him.
What does GLDM mean?
I can't say it.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to say it. Think about it for a second.
Glad?
Think about, no. It's
GLDM.
No.
Hashtag, somebody's lives don't matter.
Somebody's lives don't matter.
And somebody's lives. And no offenses here. United States is fucked. Love you three. No offense. No offense to you. No offense to me. We love you too.
I agree, Glory. GLDM. Hashtag GLDM.
So stupid.
Okay. No, shut up. Like, I agree. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a couple more things, just two more things that I wanted to.
Oh, you added some stuff? I still got some things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, you can do your stuff. What's yours?
Well, this is this Twitter you put up over here, right?
Yeah, so it's...
Chuck the Schmuck?
Yeah.
Claire Cons?
Why I hate liberals is that. It's one reason, not the whole reason, but one of the reasons why I hate liberals.
All right, so here's Claire Cons. What do you hate about Claire Cons, and why are you hating on Chuck the Schmuck Schumer? Look at those glasses.
So
he's hip, fam.
This is why I hate liberals, right? She says, Chuck Schumer is the blueprint for hot girl summer. Hashtag hot girl summer. Hashtag Chuck the Schmuck. Like, do you know who Chuck Schumer is, girl? Do you know what he has done? Like, why are we, like, cutifying Chuck the Schmuck right now?
I
like
that word.
I'm making up that word because that's what they're doing. They're making him to be like a Bernie Sanders, right? Like, they're doing the same. Oh, my God. He's a fucking warmongering, like, idiot. Like, this is what liberals do. Right? They create these little narratives. Oh my God, let's make these politicians cute and talk about what they're wearing. And of course, hot boy summer was that whole, or hot girl summer. Now it's white boy summer, excuse me. And so they're playing into that. But this is why I fucking hate liberals, because they do this shit all the time to be cool, to be trendy. And they promote like warmongers and politicians for no fucking reason. What?
I'm just advertising the Convo Couch as you do these things. I got my Rokfin, my Convo Couch.
Yeah, so anyway, I got pissed off because Chuck the Schmuck isn't somebody that should be, like, elevated in any way, shape, or form. He literally has opposed any sort of progressive policy. Period. That like he's terrible, guys.
Fam, he helped AOC get that $7,000 for when you die of COVID.
Yes. And just so you know, that schmuck is the Yiddish word for penis out there, ladies and gentlemen. That's what a schmuck is. It's also used to some, he's a schmuck.
Like, no, he's not representative of anything cool, guys. Stop. And the other thing I wanted to point out is Franco's been killing it, right? Franco has been calling out these people.
Dude, love Franco.
Franco, like, he's on fire, okay? Franco on fire.
Franco on fire.
And so I didn't even comment on this because it's not even news, but I just wanted to point out what Franco said because it's important,
Look at the picture
right? I'm
he
not
put up.
surprised. So Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske platformed Vaush. Now, we got a lot of crap on us when we brought Magnus, who, oh my God, is pro-BLM, pro-LGBTQ, part of LGBTQ, anti-imperialist, and who literally came to an Assange protest, who literally has been nothing but nice. And
sweetheart,
we may have not agree on economic like stances of how we perceive this. I'm an anti-capitalist, right? He's not. But we have had like discussions, and he's anti-Zionism. You know, he was on the right side of Palestinians. So you get all this crap, right? And then here's Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske bringing up Vaush. Now, we have seen the numerous videos of Vaush defending child pedophilia, whether it's for a grift or whether it's to be whatever. It's
taken out of
irrelevant.
context, fam.
Sure. Okay, cool.
It's still
but
child pornography.
Here's the thing. Yeah, that's something that it's hard to be like, take it out of context. So they propped him up. They platformed him on their show. And of course, somebody says something like Franco's like, hey, that's wrong. And the synthetic left come after Franco. His little Vaush fans come after. Kyle Kalinske can do no wrong. Like, it's like this whole thing where it's, again, this like hypocrisy, right, on the left. And like, it's gross because there are so many other people. I have never seen them platform an activist, somebody that's actually not just famous already. Like, go talk to organizers, go talk to other people. I'd rather have them go ask a Boogaloo Boy on why not. And that's the thing. Like, that's what I have a problem with. And I'm glad Franco is calling it out. I don't have a problem with people interviewing people who are problematic. I have a problem with how it's being done. And it was very softball, the whole thing. Yeah. And I just wanted to point that out.
It was conditioning of the mentality, too, as well, what Vaush was doing there, okay? Because it's really what he was trying to say, too, was, well, if I'm going to use my computers because it has lithium taken from poor people in the Congo and extracted from them, then I have to accept the fact that, you know, this is okay, too. It should have been the other way around. Like, that is not okay. Child pornography should be illegal because it's children. And also the way we extract resources from around the world should be illegal, too. Like, it was a stupid thing. It was a stupid mentality, and it's a form of conditioning. Well, you do this. You use plastic, so it's okay. Mm-hmm. You use gas, so you have to accept this. If you're going to accept getting in your car and driving, fam, why can't you accept child pornography? That is the fucking mentality this guy's fucking doing. This guy is such an asshole. I mean, and he's just, when I say he's an asshole, his personality.
I think he's a cop.
He's an asshole.
I think he's
Why do so many people follow him? I just don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. And just one other thing on that note is the left, you know, I'm very, like, I would say you would, for lack of a better term, very liberal, very, like, open, right? Very, like, oh, whatever, like, you do you, I don't care what you do. When it comes to a lot of this whole thing, like, on sexualizing children, a lot of liberals have, like, in their effort to make it okay and, like, desensitize, you know, people from a lot of things, they have kind of like started propping up a lot of like child pornography or child, like, it's so gross to think about, but like when you think about it, and there, like, there was this whole discussion that I didn't even get into with the Pride Parade and all of that, and Sky Daddy was talking about it, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's okay for kids to see, like, you know, very sexualized images, blah, blah, blah. It's fine because it's inclusive. And so they need to learn how to be inclusive. Sure. I think there's a line. I think there's, like, you know, you parent how you want to, but I think it's a worthwhile discussion to understand that children in America in a lot of the West are heavily sexualized or trafficked. And there are reasons for that. There's a lot of propaganda in Hollywood. There's a lot of things that happen. where children get fucking like just assaulted, raped, and exploited by the media. And so that's something that is very real, and you can't forego that in an effort to be so inclusive about everybody's sexuality that you start exposing kids to like, and that's just my opinion, that you start exposing kids to things that their mind isn't ready to. And that's the argument she was having, and a lot of people were saying she was anti-LGBTQ because of the thing she was saying. And I'm like, wait a minute, like there's a line here that you can draw where you don't have to call her anti-LGBTQ because she has some concerns about how this information is being pushed on children. And we could go back to the argument about the cuties thing or whatever it is you guys want to, like, it's the same type of argument. Like, there's a line, and everybody's going to find that
Progressives don't act that way, fam. Progressives shouldn't act that way.
There's got to be nuance.
No, progressives don't act that way. I mean, it's such an anti-intellectual, tribal kind of mentality that you have to just go along with the mainstream narrative, what they're telling you out there. And they put that out there because they know it's going to keep people divided and keep fighting over it and want to start talking about it. By the way, Trey Wright says Franco is amazing. And Franco is one of those guys, ladies and gentlemen. You talk about, like, I don't know if you call us the Big Five, what now, but the people who have really been censored this year and have really gone to Rokfin and made things work. The Last American Vagabond, Whitney Webb, Slow News Day, the Convo Couch, MCSC Network, and Robbie Jager. But Franco is one of those guys. He's a newer channel, but yet they're stopping them early to not let them get momentum at all because they can spot people right now. They understand. It's not because Franco's friends with us. It's what Franco does on his show and the way he kind of frames things and puts it out there. It's very, very new. I mean, I remember being in DC and we were sitting down, me and Franco were next to each other. Blumenthal came over to talk to us, and Blumenthal looked at Franco and says, yo, well, you're really kind of tickling some funny bones out there, really getting people agitated, because people were getting agitated with the way he was putting things up and the way he was talking about
because
things.
He's very respectful.
Yeah.
But still, like, hits all the points.
He's perfect. Johnny.
So the other day there was a march for Colombia, and they basically described pretty much what's going on. We haven't really talked about it, so I just wanted to bring it up.
Well, I'm conflicted about it because
All right. For those of you who are aware, this will be a recap about what's happening in Colombia. For those of you who don't know yet, I'd like to shed some light. Since April 28th, the Colombian people have taken to the streets in a massive national strike to combat a few reforms set forth by the right-wing populist president, Iván Duque. Amongst them, a tax reform, a healthcare reform, and a pension plan reform. Okay. The 28th of May, yesterday, marked 1 month since protests began, since the tax and healthcare reform have been pulled as a result of people's resistance. Today, the Colombian people battle decades-long neglect, abuse, and corruption by the Colombian government. More than 500 people are missing. Over 3,400 cases of police brutality have been reported, including 50 murders and 22 cases plus of sexual assault, all at the hands of the police. As thousands and thousands and thousands of videos showcasing cases of police brutality are spreading over social media, major cities are experiencing mass censorship, with cities like Cali suffering 45% diminishment in internet coverage. Folks on the front lines are being brutalized as we speak, just for going live on Instagram to showcase the mass force that has been unleashed onto them by the Colombian state. On May 17th, Iván Duque announced the maximum deployment of security forces nationwide to, in his words, clear the major pathways and intersections that have been blocked by the national strike. He also announced that the strike had been infiltrated by vandals and illegal armed groups, and that it's the job of the state to protect the Colombian people. Last night in Cali, after 10 people were announced murdered at the hands of the police, he denounced another, bigger deployment of military force. Let's be very clear. What Duque has done is declare war against the national strike, against the very pueblo he is supposed to represent. There exists zero evidence that the strike itself is being led by any other than young people, Black people, indigenous communities who have long suffered inequities at the hand of the oligarchy that runs Colombia. The Colombian government has a long history of using the existence of illegal armed groups, guerrillas, to scapegoat their own brutalities. Today, the guerrillas have supposedly been disbanded and we have only seen violence escalate. In many areas of the country, we are much worse than we ever have been. The problem has always and will always be state violence. Today, I want to center your attention on Buenaventura, a long neglected territory by the Colombian government. The historically black town is home to the most important port in the city, or in the country. Since December 2020, the city of Buenaventura has been engulfed by violence. Young children are being disappeared every day. Their bodies found floating in the sea a week later. Bombs are going on daily. People are being murdered in plain sight. The biggest form of resistance this territory has been to protest the port. 80% live in poverty, and 63% are unemployed, and water only runs 6 hours a day. This is the same place that sees the most profitable merchandise day to day. Can you imagine that on May 25th, Duque showed his face in Buenaventura and didn't speak to a single member of the strike committee? Not one protester, not one inhabitant. Instead, he announced that the real crisis in Buenaventura is that the port has been blocked. Buenaventura is a historically black territory. It has 500,000 inhabitants. People die every day traveling 2 hours from Buenaventura to Cali because there's not a single hospital to properly service them. And he's going to talk about the fact that the real crisis is the port.
So that's just a snippet. There's some more info out there.
Okay.
And I also saw
that.
Colombian protesters are burning U.S. and Israeli flags. It's not just a strike against austerity measures. It's a full-on uprising against imperialism.
That's what we need to see right there. Not that the burning of the flags means anything, but if you say these 5 countries, if you say Saudi Arabia, Israel, Egypt, Colombia, those 4 countries, guess what about those 4 countries, fam? They're always in the top 4 when it comes to weapons deals exported by the United States.
Yep.
Okay? Also, the American imperialism and the oligarchs and the elites here have money in the cocaine trade over there. They're making money off it. So when you see these people walking around the streets, these policemen with guns, they're American guns, American hardware, and that's what we need to call out. You need to stop and cut off the aid to these puppet governments in the global south, okay, and allow these people to have their own freedom and let them have their own government and whatnot. These governments are put up by the United States. It's about imperialism. And also, we talked about the Israeli flag, the weapons deal they have in the global south too, and El Salvador and whatnot and stuff. We have to call this shit out. This is about American putting up puppet governments just as much as everything else is going on. And that's the first time we've seen something going. Really quickly, I'm going to just finish up. It has to be more than saying we're standing with solidarity with the people of Colombia. We have to call out our government for propping up their government with weapons and money and support.
Absolutely. And I have to say, we did cover this a few weeks ago, not this specific thing, but we did cover what was happening in Colombia a few weeks ago with Oz, I think. And also, I wanted to point out that Pasta's absolutely 100% right. There was that Dan Cohen tweet, I think, that you just showed, or it was one of those same tweets he did, where that's Colombians burning that flag. That's Colombians standing against U.S. imperialism. In Colombia.
Exactly.
In America, what you hear is we need to stand in solidarity with Colombia. We need to do these marches. We need to do this. But you don't hear, really, I have not heard from all of these videos that I've seen of people doing actions in LA. Hey, let's talk about U.S. imperialism and their part in this whole thing. You don't, because a lot of the people pushing this stand in solidarity with Colombia are Democratic governments, organizations, or Democratic leaders. And I'm sorry, that's just it's symbolic, because if you're not going to attack the foreign policy aspect of how our involvement in Colombia and our involvement in the global south and what we do to weaponize these countries like Colombia to work in our behalf, to use our weapons to which basically creates the whole guerrilla warfare. She's right. She's saying there's no guerrillas anymore. So why do you think this is still happening then? Why it's not the guerrillas. The guerrillas exist because of the government and the government working with the CIA to create this whole faux drug war. Just like the Pedro Castillo's party was talking about the DEA being the largest drug cartel in the world. It's absolutely true. And Colombia is one of their biggest assets, and that's what we need to talk about here in America, because they know that in Colombia. Why do you think they're burning the American and Israeli flag? They know that.
Exactly.
But in America, the Colombians aren't talking about that. I'm not just going to say the Colombians, but the people in activism stating we stand in solidarity with Colombia, really stand in solidarity with Colombia, and talk about how U.S. imperialism is manipulating this, is allowing this to happen, is causing what's going on in Colombia. Because if you don't, then the narrative is just going to be, okay, well, let's replace this guy with another U.S. regime puppet, just like it is in Israel.
Exactly,
and that's got to fucking stop. We got to be like,
it could be a leftist that does
again.
the same
it
shit.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it could be somebody who's in the Labor Party, a Labor Party in Colombia that would change certain things, but that's a little cheese in the trap. Because as long as Americans are still profiting off the cocaine trade, the elites that is, and they used to sell cocaine to buy weapons with, and the CIA to give against the fight against the Sandinistas. Remember, this shit was been going on for so long. It's still going on. And what do? Oh, you have all this drug problems. Buy our weapons for your military and your police department to go fight this corruption. Here's a ton of weapons. And they do it left and right. And that's the thing. Unless I'm wrong, John, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't heard what me and Fiorella just pointed out over here about pointing out the imperialism that's driving this boat over here. It's also a proxy war against Venezuela.
I haven't really been to any of the protests, so I can't say that. But I doubt it. I doubt it.
It should be the number one issue.
Because a lot of people don't know about foreign policy. They don't know that the CIA fucking...
A lot of people don't know, but a lot of the organizations specifically avoid that.
A lot of people don't know.
No, a lot of people don't know, but a lot of the democratic organizations that lead this, they avoid talking about it because that's the whole narrative. It's like, we can stand in solidarity with it, but we're not going to touch imperialism.
Yeah, because the Democratic Party is the second... one of the two parties here, one of the main parties. So when people join that party, they'll only listen to what that party's saying.
Exactly.
The thing is that they got to expand their horizons, their shit out more. So
we got to get out of those parties to expand those horizons, because they ain't gonna fucking talk about shit.
But how will they know to get out the party if they don't know? You know what I'm
saying? Well, that's the thing. Once they get in, they got to see
horizons. The media. This is the other thing. Is the media. So I blame state media. I blame the propaganda media. I blame Empire Education. I blame the duopoly and the corporate elitist predator class for keeping everybody misinformed, basically. Doing. So that's who I blame. I don't blame really people for not knowing, because 2 years ago I didn't know shit. So here's another thing. Palestinian flags flooded the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., where hundreds of Palestinian residents and supporters gathered to demand the U.S. stop funding Israel's ethnic cleansing and occupation of Palestine. Let's hear what this guy's saying.
It's called ethnic cleansing. It's called apartheid. Use the right words. And to all the politicians out there, we have a message for you. We see you. They came into our communities and they ate hummus and they said salaam alaikum so we would save them all from Trump and Donald Trump. Well, you know what? They asked us to save democracy from Donald Trump. Now we are asking everybody to save Palestine from Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Our struggles are connected. That's why Palestinian flags were flying in Black Lives Matter protests. It is time to end settler colonialism. It is time to end the ethnic cleansing. It is time to stop the genocide. It is time from DC to Palestine, from the river to the sea, that Palestine will be free, Palestine!
Watch that gentleman and see if he still is in the organization going along, if somebody doesn't try to get a hold of him and saying, hey, man, what are you doing here? That's the stuff we need to hear right there, because that's really putting the eyes on what's really going on. And I think the Palestinian movement is a little bit further along when it comes to anti-imperialism than a lot of the other.
They have no choice.
Because they have no choice to learn it and stuff, but that is great. That I love.
It's really interesting how the Palestinian struggle is really bringing a lot of people together. We were talking about this when we were out there in the march, where thousands of people were out there. Really quick, this made news over the weekend. Remains of more than 200 children found in an Indigenous school in Canada. RT did a good segment on this. You can see it on their live stream. According to NBC News, the remains of 215 children, some as young as 3 years old, have been found buried under the site of what was once Canada's largest Indigenous residential school, one of the institutions that held children taken from families across the nations. So it's interesting because the way RT framed it, I really liked how they framed it. It was like, oh yeah, Canada, a beacon for liberals, and it's I forgot what phrase they used, but it was like, we're open. We say people kind instead of mankind.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, but
No, yeah.
it just makes you feel good when you got these skeletons in your closet, basically.
A lot of Canadians always say, like, we think they're a lot more leftist than they actually are in America, because compared to us, they have healthcare and they have other, they're a little bit more progressive, but really at the end of the day, it's still Western imperialism.
A couple super rays before we get to this one, Johnny. You want to get to, and I'll just read the super rays out.
Really end it.
All right, go ahead.
So, Vishal put out this thing. So this guy, no shoe for me. The other day, Andy No was in Portland, and he was hiding in a hotel. A lot. He tried to infiltrate Antifa or whatever, and then people were crowding around outside, and some protesters got arrested, and this protester was live streaming, and you can hear what these police were saying while they had his phone inside the evidence bag. So listen to this. They basically made up a charge.
I think it's something related to property or something. Maybe some probably criminal mischief. The call camera? Camera? Yeah, the camera will be able to communicate with the ECs and they'll be able to give you the charge. Okay. We're given probable cause and description. Sorry to do this long. No, you're all good, man. All right. What are the charges? You have to talk to the ECs, Let me see. Okay. I got my. You have no idea. Yeah, all right. We'll cut through that. I think it's something related to property or something. Maybe some probably criminal mischief. The call camera? Camera? Yeah. The camera will be able to communicate with the ECs and they'll be able to give you the charge. Okay. We're given probable cause and description. Sorry to do this long. No, you're all good, man.
What does Andy No have to do with this?
Well, he was. I'm just saying that's where this happened. That's where he got arrested because they were protesting outside of the Andy No thing.
Oh, okay.
Outside of Andy No thing. So I was just giving context to this clip of how he got arrested and stuff. He was just protesting Andy No, and I guess they grabbed him because he was filming, and then you can hear them say how they're like making up charges.
Well, what are we going to charge them for and stuff?
They're like, I don't know.
They should have body cameras on these cops at all times.
So
Sorry, that's why.
This is true. I remember when Johnny and I were apprehended at the LA during over a year ago during the George Floyd protest, and one of the officers asked the other, so what is their charge? And they were like, actually, I don't know.
Give us a couple minutes.
They were like, oh, I'm just going to put this. Like, they literally didn't know because they had no reason to really arrest us. And that's the thing. Like, this happens all the time, right? This happens all the time. And unfortunately, people like Andy No feed into this culture war. And this is why then you have the other side come back and say, oh, everybody's a fascist. Anybody that's a Republican is a fascist, because people like Andy No create that whole dichotomy, and they edit videos or they frame things away. That's completely true. He literally lies all the time. That's why Pasta said he's my favorite, because I fucking can't stand the guy, because I've been on the ground so many times and I've seen how they take our videos. And yes, him, Ian Chong, and a bunch of other people.
The Beverly Hills protest. He took that video and said something completely wrong about it. I was like, what the fuck?
And that's wrong, because whatever it is, whatever the truth is the truth. It should be the fucking narrative. The truth needs to be the narrative. That's it. It doesn't have to be your ideology or my ideology or whoever. It has to be the fucking truth. And these people just get in the way of that culture war.
Mosquitoes, Johnny. We're coming up on 106 minutes here.
This is just the last funny things. Mosquitoes this summer after tasting Moderna in my bloodstream. Hold on.
Oh, shit.
Johnny, could you pull up real quick on YouTube, Yo Vegans? I just want to plug it real quick. And then also my Twitter, I want to plug that real quick. Let me read these super rays. We'll get them out of the way.
Yeah, well, here's the last thing. I just wanted to show this cool illusion, guys. Look at this.
But your brain is telling you that the window is going part way around and turning and going the other way. And yet in order to do that, the two things have to pass through one another, the pen and the window. You know it's not possible. You know it can't happen. And yet as you look at it, you see them going through one another every time they go around. An amazing illusion, the Ames window. With the pen, or are you going to see something really strange? Well, have a look at that. That's unbelievable, isn't it? You can see the pen going around in a circle, but your brain is telling you that the window is going part way around and turning and going the other way. And yet in order to do that, the two things have to pass through one another, the pen and the window. You know it's not possible. You know it can't happen. And yet as you look at it, you see them going through one one another every time they go around. An amazing
That's
illusion.
such a Johnny
The aim-
thing.
Such a Johnny,
I was
like-
saying, well, we all know that.
Johnny physics.
What dimensional being are you?
The thing
I'm
was
a
just going back
six-dimensional
and
You wish
forth.
you were.
It was just going back and forth, and it looked like it was going around in a circle.
Yeah.
No. Anyways, that's
You're a
it.
six-dimensional being, Johnny.
Okay.
Glory Jones says, "Hi, what's up, FedTube chatters?" FedTube. Rokfin is popping this evening. No cap, fam. We love supporting the fam. Hashtag Scoop Gang, Scoop Gang,
We love Scoop Gang.
Scoop Gang.
Oh, God.
Shadowban Refugee. Instant way to trigger me. AOCIA. Child porn, cucktube worship, bonus round. Vosh, who epitomizes all three. Who the fuck told him he could steal my idea of Alex Jones impression shirtless streaming? But seriously, fuck that pile of smugnerant, intelligentsia, dumpster fire, dog shit, camaraderie, pedophile, Vosh ranker who dares to call himself anarchist, disgracing the name. Fuck ash licking Vosh. Shadowban, tell us how you really feel. Yo vegan. Yo vegans. With an S. My bad.
Yeah.
I don't even know the name right there. It says, looking forward to a fee reporting from Lima. Convo is the most awesome channel. Ronnie Graham, I am so looking forward to it too as well. It's going to be awesome. We're going to see it. I'm going to Georgia too as well. Really quickly, guys, I have a new channel. We're kind of starting it out slow. You can only see one view. He just put it up yesterday. 22 fewer views on the other ones. Check out Yo Vegans. Episode 2 was a Cruiser Pizza and Sun Cafe. Episode 1 was Panda, the Naughty Panda, Donut Friend, and the York. We went out and we kind of went out there and reviewed a couple places out there. The third episode will be the actual cooking while I'll cook my gnocchi bolognese. Scotty will make his famous freaking sangria. That's amazing. But there you can see us in the car before we were getting ready to go on out. We go to some places. We have a good time. You can just jump ahead too as well. We went to Cruiser Pizza. We're reviewing a lot of vegan pizzas out there. You can see it. We just have a fun time with this, and we want to do this.
Pizza.
Well, the whatchamacallit, Garage Pizza had an awesome.
That's like the best
vegan
one.
pizza.
Yeah.
Because it's like real
But
pizza.
Kind of. I mean,
But
the
vegan.
cheese is still not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But go to Yo Vegans, 2 words, on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Check out the videos over there too as well. If you want to put up your thing, and you can put up the Twitter real quick, just a last push before we go away. Did you put it in there?
I think I put it in the document.
Yeah.
Did I not?
Hey, Johnny, if you could just pull up my Twitter.
Maybe I didn't.
Really quick. On my Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not doing a big one for this. Obviously, I'm going to Georgia. It's not half as expensive as what Fee is doing, whatnot. She has a GoFundMe. But if you go on my Twitter, it's the first one. It's pinned. It's right there. I have all the links, guys. Just go to my Twitter. I'm wearing this brown hat. I stole Jamal's hat. And somebody said, did you steal Jamal's hat? Guys, all my links are there. My Venmo, my Cash App. I didn't put my PayPal app up there, but anything. If you donate to our PayPal, just say for Georgia, and we'll know it's for Georgia. Please come over there, help us out. A few bucks for gas, a few bucks for the car. I'm going to be interviewing Garland Favorito, 2 of the people who filled out, who signed affidavits saying what they witnessed over there. I'm going to try to get a hold of anybody I can over there as well. There's a couple Georgia people. Also, I'm doing some work for the other show, and the show will be on this Thursday night on our, if you're a Rokfin Premium. Or you can go to Roar Media's regular Rokfin, To Hell and Back. It's our collaboration. Me and Shanda are doing a show on addiction and the opioid pandemic that's just killing so many people, 70,000 people a year.
Yep.
There's a show on that. So I'm going to do some interviews in North Georgia. It's that area where Reverend Annie Chambers said, I met some poor people. These people were po-po. And they're born into poverty. They're born into addiction. We're going to get some interviews over there as well. So anything you can do to help out, just go to my Twitter. It's tagged over there. My Cash App's there. $5, $10, $2. My Venmo if you have to. Then also, fam has her.
Yeah.
GoFundMe.
I have my GoFundMe for Peru. The tickets are expensive,
Yeah.
over $1,000. So that's there, and I'm gonna have to have somebody help me with the filming because I'll be alone. I won't have anybody else. So that's part of it. And yeah, guys, I am really excited to report on the ground to see what's going on. I'm a little apprehensive about the organization that is monitoring elections. And as somebody that knows a lot about elections, if your organization doesn't, I've never seen them on the ground. I don't know how much monitoring you're going to do or if you're going to know what to look for. So I'm kind of curious about that. It's a very contentious election. As you know, we talked about yesterday, Keiko Fujimori versus Pedro Castillo. There's a Peru Libre and the other party, and it's
such an important election.
Is the Keiko party, and Peru Libre is the Pedro Castillo party. And it's also in context, of like my background and the reason why like a lot of my family came into the United States was due largely to this whole Fujimori / Shining Path situation. And so there's a lot of that personally to me that I'm like very interested in uncovering deeply. And I will go on any show that wants me to go on their show to talk about this. And of course, I'm going to try to stream into here the Convo Couch. So.
We're going to try to do whatever we can do. We're going to get this stuff going. There's the big audit in Georgia. There's some new information came out. We did a show on it. Somebody said they really liked the show and understood what's going on. And that's something we have to face. Really, we have to come to solutions to fix these elections if we ever want to have a balance of power. I don't think there's ever been an election, really, to be honest with you. And we have to break through. And if we can understand how they're cheating us and how we change this, it's the establishment. It's not Republicans or Democrats. It's the elitists. And they can do the same thing in Peru because a lot of corporatists, a lot of elitist, globalist corporatists are depending on raping Peru of their natural resources, including the lithium that they have over there. So Mr. Castillo would be huge if we can get him in there. And I just can't wait for you to report on everything that's going on, just to see how elections work over there. I think a lot of Americans are going to be shocked and be like, oh my God, like, wow, they need all that stuff. They only have one day. Blah, blah, blah. No, yeah. In Venezuela, in some parts, they've got to put your thumbprint down for crying out loud.
Yep.
So, you know what I'm saying? So we have to really get this situation straight. By the way, Steve Cutler Live is hanging out. Atras, Shadow Band Refugee, we mentioned many times. Magpie Lark. All these cool. Tony Humanic is hanging out over there as well.
Tony.
We love you, Tony Humanic. Andrea, of course, we mentioned her name. Gloria Jones, Ronnie Graham. Get on over to Rokfin. Sign up for free. CJ is there. Sign up for free. And if you got a few extra bucks for $9.99 a month, you can get all our premium content as well as everybody else's premium content on this platform. This is the platform where it's at. This is where the last American vagabond told a lot of his stories, whatnot, and was out there when it came to the lab possibly producing. And that's the thing. People are like, well, it could be a lab leak. Why don't we get a little Burmese?
Let's save that for
Rokfin.
We're going to save this for tomorrow and stuff like that. I don't want to say stuff like that. Yeah, I'll save it. I'm sorry. But anyways, that's it. I'll shut up now.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Johnny, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Get over to that Rokfin. Sign up. Thank you to everybody on the YouTube. Hit the like button. Share us.
Even Krish is on there. Jimmy's on there.
Yeah.
You can see Jimmy's whole live streams on there.
Yep.
All right, guys. I love the picture he put up of us. Go see Franco. We love Franco. Franco rocks. For Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
Johnny Sue on the ones and twos.
Convo out.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.